Hello, good evening, guys. In this lecture, I'm going to talk about classes and objects part 1 without wasting much time. And after this lesson, there are lots of objectives the student must be able to state and define. The student must be able to go by the classes and how they define objects and create our methods and the rest. Without wasting my time, let's dive into the lesson by looking at the classes and objects part 1. Let's look at this. When we talk about class, how does it mean? When we talk about class, it means the blueprint which has the state and the behavior. And then I have this example we need to consider. We have GradeBook example, how we coded a graded book. Construct an array of grades, wrote methods to perform operations on the grade, on the array, and then pass the array as an argument to this method. Without wasting much time, let's look at the procedural programming. When you talk about the procedural programming in some books, you see the differences between the procedural programming and the main programming. When you talk something is procedural programming, it means the program is written as one long sequence of operations. So let's consider the graded book we coded is an example of procedural programming. A sequence of operations can be placed into methods, functions, or procedures. A new GradeBook object. A new idea for our GradeBook program. Construct a GradeBook that stores an array of grades inside it. GradeBook has operations like print grade and mean grade to others can use. Our code constructs a gradebook and acts to perform its operations. Let's look at the next slide. Creating a gradebook object is an example of object-oriented programming. When we talk something is object-oriented programming, it deals with classes and objects. When you talk about OOP, which is the object-oriented programming, the thing it must come at the back of your mind is you are going to deal classes and objects. And here in our next subsequent lesson or lecture, we are going to talk about the objects and classes. In OOP, as you see in the slide, we create objects that encapsulate both data and operation. Instead of creating one long sequence of operations, we create objects and define how they interact. Let's look at the next slide. What is an object? Object has two primary components. It has state and behavior. The state is talk about the properties of the objects. The behavior talk about the operations the object can perform. Let's look at this example, which is dog, GradeBook, and the lights. When you take dog as an example of an object, we have the state of the dog is breed or is hungry, and the behavior he can eat or bark. It can eat or it can bark. It barks. Let's look at the GradeBook as well. And the state that GradeBook has is grace, and then it its behavior is mean or median. And light has a state which is on or off, and then its behavior is switch. Let's go to the next one. A class defines a new type of object. In order to create an object type to represent a light switch, we have it must follow by this format: the class and then light switch, and you state the behavior, or you bring the behavior and then state inside the braces. This is the braces. Yeah, this is the braces. This is the braces. The open and then closing. Let's go to the next. An object state is stored in variables. An object state is stored in variables called fields. Fields are declared and optionally initialized inside the braces of the class. Light switch example with a field boolean on equal to true. Boolean on equal to true are the fields that has been declared inside the class light switch. Let's move to the next. An object behavior is defined by its method. When you consider the GradeBook, which is going to have the behavior, the state is grace, and its behavior is mean or median. Methods like fields are written inside the braces of the class. Let's look at methods are filled. That's right inside this class. Here it's in classes. We write our method. Method can access the field which is the state of their object and can change them. Let's move to the next line. Let's move to the next line. Yeah. The method can access the field which is the state of their object and can change them. Yeah. Class, switch, and then the states and behavior is the boolean on equal to true, which is a field, and you come and declare another method which is boolean is on, which is going to return on, which is state. The return on is the state to the method boolean is on, and then you come to another method which is void switch, which is going to assign on to not on equal to on, which is also state. Methods are written inside. It is a method. Yeah, boolean is on, which is going to return on, which talk about the state, are written inside this class switch. Let's move to the next slide. Constructing objects. We use the new keyword to construct a new instance of an object. We can assign this instance to a variable with the same type of the object. The light switch is equal to new light switch. Yeah, notes. Classes define new data types. Classes define new data types. Then we move to the next. Light switch is equal to light switch. To access the field of an instance of an object, use instance.field. To access the method of an instance, use instance.method. It is on, is switched, void is on, or switch is the method, and then use the instances, which is the x, to access the instance of the object, to access the field of an to access the field of an object, of an instance of an object. of an object. To use its on, and then to access the method of an instance, use instant dot method. So this is the format. In order to access the field of an instance of the object, you use the instance dot the field, and then in order to access the method of an instance, you use the instant dot method. Let's move to the next slide. Example, using light switch. What does this method print out? Light switch is new is equal to new light switch. System dot out dot print light print is on is dot switch, which is the method, and then system dot out dot print line dot x dot is on. Now the instance dot the hot the method to get the light switch. This is how you go about the main. This is going to be happening inside the main method. We have other methods. It is going to happen inside main method. Let's move to the next slide. And then this will print true and then false. Let's move. We have class person, which is the name of the class, which is person. And then inside our class, we define an instant variable, which is a string type with an identifier name and has an assignment grade. Then we also come and also declare another instant variable which has of the data type int and has an identifier age and we assign 23 to. Suppose you want to get the name of that person and their age, we then keep on to declare a method which is get name of the data type string, which is going to return the state, which is the name, and then we come to another method void set name, which is going to which are going to declare which we pass string, which has a parameter one as an argument string n, and then we assign the n to the name, n to the name, and then int get age, which is also another method to return the age. Void set age int a, age is equal to a, then which is going to give us the set age. This is a method. This is a method. This is also a method. This is a method. Now you are seeing that in declaring classes we have a method declare inside, and then we have the instant variable. These are the instant variables, and these are our methods. Let's move on. To create an instance of the person class with the name of George and an age of 22, this we are come to the instant class. Come to the instant class. Person George equal to new person, and then George dot set name. Today is going to access the instance of the class, and we have the access to create an instance of or to access the instance of the method. Can we create a person that has the name George and then A22 from the moment it is created? Now you declare an instant class which is the person George equal to new person, and then George dot set names George, and then George dot set age. Yeah. The answer is yes. Let's move on. We have our constructors. When you talk about constructors talk about special method used to construct an instance of our class. Look, they have no return type. They have no return type. They have the same name as the class of the object they are constructing. They initialize the state of the object called the constructor by preceding with it with a new keyword. Let's move on. We have class person and has an instant variable which is of the string type with an identifier name, and also we have another instant variable which is of the int type which has an identifier age. Now we can construct George as follows. Person George equal to new person George, and then we bring it to the quotes and then bring our comma and bring to it. Let's move on. We have default constructor. When you do not write constructor in the class, it implicitly has a constructor with no argument and an empty body. Let's consider the class switch, light switch. Leaving out the constructor is the same as light switch. Result: every class has a constructor. A class can have multiple constructors. Class can have more. This how I display it. This is a constructor. This is a constructor. Yeah. Class can have multiple constructors. These are the constructors. Light switch and then light switch boolean. Let's move to that. We have this key. Instant can refer to itself with the keyword this. We have this keyword. Instant can refer to itself with the keyword this. Class light switch boolean on, light switch on equal to true. This dot on equal to true, and then this on equal to on. This is how we use this keyword to refer itself with the keyword this. We have the cascading constructor. A constructor can call another constructor with these arguments. Class light switch boolean on, light switch with constructor this true, light switch boolean on, this dot on equals on. Classes recap. Classes are fields to store the state of the objects in the class and methods to provide operations the object can perform. These are the recap. We construct instances of a class with the keyword new followed by a call constructor method of the class. We can assign an instance to a variable with the data type name the same as the class. If we do not provide the constructor, the class will have one with no argument and no statement by default. These are the recap of the class lesson I've taken you through. Let's move on to the next. We have the class Apple example. Class Apple, we have the instant variable. These are the instant variable. This is a constructor. Yeah, this is the constructor. And then Inside our constructor, we pass an argument which is the string color or double price, and then we come and initiated it to this keyword, and then this is the method. Is our method. Is our method. Let's move on to this. What will these? I have the apple piece. Yeah. What will these lines print out? What will these lines print out? Let's move on to the next. Yeah. This is the final answer. Is the final answer. Red 150.5, green 74.6, and then 50.6. Yes, we will bring our lesson to an end. Thank you for watching this. Say goodbye.